and listen to who is going to be the witness, Colby Ryan. This is a son of Lori Vallow. He was one who was looking for brother and sister. Let's go in for his testimony.
All right, please. Please all present account for your honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bailiff. Please be seated. All right, we're back on the record on case CR 22-21-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell. We just completed the lunch recess and the state continues with its case in chief. The state may call its next witness.
The state calls Colby Ryan.
Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now that the witness has been sworn, I'll just inquire, Mr. Ryan, these trial proceedings have been streamed live on the court's YouTube channel and open for public access. Have you reviewed or watched any of this testimony that's taken place?
No.
Oh, and actually,
I was just going to note, Your Honor, Mr. Ryan is not subject to the exclusionary warrant.
I appreciate you pointing that out, Mr. Wood. That's correct. So as a statutorily definite, with the definition here, he would not be subject to that. So disregard my inquiry. Mr. Wood, you can go ahead and proceed.
And before I do, Your Honor, may I be handed States Exhibits 6 and 4?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ryan.
Good afternoon.
Can you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Yes. Colby Ryan, R-Y-A-N.
Mr. Ryan, who is your mother?
Lori Vallow.
How many siblings do you have?
4.
Okay. Can you tell us their names?
Cole, Zach, Tylee, and JJ.
And Cole and Zach, what is your specific relationship or relation to them?
They're my stepbrothers.
Who was their father?
Charles Vallow.
Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes, that's an admitted exhibit, correct?
Yes, this is States Exhibit 6.
Okay. Yes, you may.
Mr. Ryan, do you recognize that individual?
Yes.
Who is that?
That's my sister, Tylee.
What is your specific relation to Tylee?
She's my half sister on my mom's side.
So you share a mother.
Mhm.
Your Honor, may I publish States Exhibit 4?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan, do you recognize that individual?
Yes.
And if you need a drink of water, I don't know if there's tissues up there.
Yeah. I'm good.
Who is that?
That is my brother, JJ.
And what is your specific relation to JJ?
He is my adopted brother.
Do you recall when JJ was adopted?
Yes.
Do you know who Charles Vallow was?
Yes.
Who was he?
He was my stepfather.
And when you say stepfather, how was he your stepfather?
He married my mom.
How long was he married to your mom?
Over 10 years.
All right. And what was your relationship like with Mr. Vallow?
He was my dad. It was good.
So is it fair to say you were close with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you recall when Mr. Vallow passed away?
Yes.
Or Charles Vallow? If I say Charles, we understand who we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Do you recall when he passed away?
Yes.
When was that?
July 11th, 2019.
How did you hear about him passing away?
My mom called me and told me that he had had a heart attack.
And do you remember about what time of day that was?
Between like 1 and 3 o'clock, something in that afternoon.
On the afternoon?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any reason to not believe her that that's how he passed away?
No.
Did you have any occasion to go over and to your mother's house that day?
Yes.
And where was that house located?
In Gilbert, Arizona.
Do you know approximately what time you went over?
And I got off at work at 7, so around 7:30, 7:45.
What happened? What was the first thing you saw when you got there?
Tylee opened the door and hugged me, and she was crying. And then I saw my Uncle Alex sitting on the couch with a bandage around his head. And then I saw my mom in the backyard, and that was it.
Did you go into the house?
Yes.
Did you see your brother JJ there?
No.
Did you speak with Alex Cox at all that night?
Yes.
How did that conversation go? What did he say to you?
Objection, hearsay.
Statement of a co-conspirator, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Tell us about the conversation with Alex Cox. Well, and before we do that, what was your relation to Alex Cox?
He was my uncle.
And you testified you saw him with something white wrapped around his head.
Yes.
Did you speak to him at all that night?
I asked him what was on his head, and he said that Charles had hit him in the head with a bat and that he had shot him in self-defense.
And is that how you learned how your stepdad died?
Yes.
Did he tell you anything else about that altercation?
No.
And did you ever have any other occasion to speak to him about that altercation?
No.
You said you saw your mother that night. And what was her demeanor?
Calm. Unrattled.
How would that make you feel? Your mother tells you, oh, he died from a heart attack. He goes over to the house to see Uncle Alex. He said, I had to shoot him in self-defense. This poor kid already. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. Stay tuned when we come back to court. We're going to take you right back in where we left off.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, money, sex, and power. The case against Chad Daybell. Court TV teams are live from Idaho with the very latest in the Doomsday Prophet murder trial.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8, 7 Central, only on Court TV.
It's a controversial case that's divided a community.
Karen Reed is accused of murdering her police officer boyfriend.
Will the truth finally be revealed?
The killer or cover-up murder trial begins this week, only on Court TV.
You lied to me, specifically to me, more times than I can count. To know that they're gone and you knew, I thought I could trust you. You don't know what happened. You ripped my heart out. You ripped out everyone in this family's heart out.
Well, that was Colby Ryan. He was speaking to his mother, Lori Vallow Daybell, when she was in jail. Remember, Lori was found guilty last year of killing her two youngest children, Tylee and JJ, and conspiring to kill her new husband's first wife, Tammy Daybell. Now, Chad Daybell is on trial facing those same charges. On the stand right now is Colby Ryan. He has testified as to how he's related to everyone, and Tylee and JJ thought of as his sister and brother. She was a half-sister. JJ, an adopted brother. Right now, he's on direct examination by the state. We're going to take you back in right where we left off.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was crazy. So I was freaking out, and she seemed to not care.
And did you speak to your mother that night about how Charles had actually died?
Yes.
How did that conversation go?
She told me there was a fight and ran through it very quickly. And it was just in shock. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she just basically gave me a very quick version of the story.
Did she tell you why she had lied to you earlier?
No.
Do you remember if you asked her?
I don't remember.
Did you ever speak with Lori Vallow about Charles Vallow's life insurance policy?
Yes.
When was, do you know if that happened multiple times?
I know she'd mentioned it growing up. She talked to us about what would happen if either one of them, something happened to them, what would happen. I think it was a few weeks later that she brought up that she was not going to receive any of the money from Charles.
And let's just take a quick step back. When you say a few weeks later, what do you mean a few weeks later?
After Charles was murdered.
Okay. And she told you then that she was not going to receive that money?
Yes.
From that conversation, was it your understanding that she had been expecting to receive that money?
Yes.
And, okay. When Charles was alive, did you ever have occasion to speak with Lori Vallow about her and Charles's finances?
Yes.
Was that something that came up often?
Yes.
About how often, to the best of your recollection?
I would say maybe monthly, maybe once a month.
And what was the general nature of those conversations?
From what I understood, Charles would work and then receive a bigger amount of money, and then it would kind of run out, and then they'd make another bigger amount, and then it would run out. So it's kind of the nature of the conversation would be that they were running low on money, something to that degree.
Okay. And was that a common theme then?
Mm-hmm.
And just to be clear, was a common theme that they were running out of money?
Yes.
Do you know who Tylee Ryan's father was?
Yes.
Who was that?
Joseph Ryan.
And I know that you and Joseph Ryan have the same last name.
Yes.
Was he your biological father?
No.
Okay. But did you take his last name?
Yes.
And do you know if Mr. Ryan is alive or deceased?
He's deceased.
And do you recall when that happened?
Summer of 2018, I think. Something around that time.
You don't remember the exact date?
No.
And were you aware if Tylee Ryan received Social Security benefits after Joe Ryan passed away?
Yes.
How did you learn that?
My mom told me that she would be receiving benefits.
And do you know if she received that monthly?
Yes.
Did you ever receive money from Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
How would that usually happen?
Venmo. She would Venmo me.
Okay. Would you ever ask her for some money?
I did, yes.
And about how often would that happen?
Maybe I can recall asking Tylee specifically a couple times. I would mostly ask my mom, and Tylee would be the middleman between those transactions. So I'd ask my mom, and she would tell Tylee to send the money.
Speaking of that, to your knowledge, did Lori Vallow ever send you money by sending it to Tylee, who would then Venmo it to you?
Yes.
And how did you know that?
I would ask my mom, and then she said, okay, Tylee will send it over to you.
Okay. Do you recall the last time you saw Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
When was that?
It's August 30th.
And where was that?
It was outside of my work in the parking lot.
Is that in Arizona?
It was in Mesa, Arizona, outside of a gym.
Okay. And what was the nature of that visit?
My mom was very vague and said that they were leaving. She brought Tylee and JJ, and Tylee was crying and didn't say anything really. And I hugged JJ, and my mom said that they'd be back in a few weeks to visit.
Did she tell you where she was going?
No.
Do you recall if you asked?
I did ask initially.
But she wouldn't tell you?
No.
All right, let's pause the testimony so we can have an opportunity to bring in criminal defense attorneys Jack Rice, Josh Schiffer. Josh, thank you both for being with me. So much I want to say, but first of all, pretty despicable when you hear a mother lying to her son, taking the kids by to say, we're leaving, you'll see them in a couple weeks, refusing to say where they're going. So many different issues as we are hearing, Jack, from Colby Ryan.
Absolutely, but the most important you're seeing right now is Colby is actually breathing air into the lungs of his brother and sister. That's what he's doing. He's creating a three-dimensional, loved human being so this jury can love them too. That's why a prosecutor puts them on first, and there's certainly other aspects coming. But if you look at what he's doing as he's grabbing tissues, as he's breathing, you can feel the pain that's dripping from him. And I think what that's going to do is that's going to push into the laps of that jury.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Josh, talk to us a little bit about the legalities of how and why all of this information can come in, because we know the co-conspirator in the conspiracy charges against Chad Daybell is Lori Vallow. And right now, we haven't heard about Chad. We're hearing about Lori, Colby, JJ, Tylee.
It's all in the relevance and the storytelling, like Jack's talking about, where this jury, even though we all know about this and we pay attention to this jury is very much a blank slate. And by breathing life into the characters, by filling them up, by humanizing them, turning them into real people, that's building the attachment. So that when the state gets to the betrayal part, when the state slowly, methodically, without any rush, with a lot of consideration and contemplative process, goes line by line through the horrors that these kids experienced. That betrayal, when it comes out, the humanity that is being constructed now really manifests and comes home.
Oh, this case, these beautiful children. Jack, one other quick question for you, and that is, as we're listening to this, we know from prior testimony that this entire time, Lori and Chad, the defendant in this case, have been having an extramarital affair. They've been texting back and forth. Will that be enough to tie him into this as a conspirator, or is there a lot more evidence you might expect from the state?
Oh, I expect to see more. I mean, remember, we have direct and we have circumstantial evidence. And so both are coming in at the same time. And when you get a text messages that says, take care of these children. And I think that's the leap that this FBI agent was talking about, was to say, what does take care of mean? And you put that in the hands of the jury. What that means to them is murder. And you're making that point very clear. And now you're going to construct that building around it to say there is no question what this meant was murder. And that's what we expect to see coming next.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I'm grateful. I'm going to have both of you until 5 as we continue to watch this testimony unfold. Of course, we need to squeeze in a quick break. But when we come back again, this is Lori Vallow's oldest son, Colby Ryan. He'll still be on the stand for direct. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ashley Wilcott. Of course, honored to be with you. Thank you for joining us. We are in Idaho, where jurors are hearing more testimony in the trial against the defendant, Chad Daybell. He and his now convicted wife, Lori Vallow, are accused of using their bizarre religious beliefs to justify and commit the murders of 2 children, Lori's children, Tylee and JJ, as well as the murder of Chad's first wife, Tammy. On the stand right now is Lori's oldest child, Colby Ryan. Heartbreaking testimony about how he couldn't trust his mother, what she lied to him about. Let's go back in. He is still on direct examination by the state.
Did you receive or did you exchange text messages with Tylee Ryan on September 8th of 2019?
Yes.
What was the nature of that text exchange?
I think I had asked her to send money. And I think we had talked earlier that day a little bit. I didn't talk to her directly, but I had heard her voice and they said that they were on a trip. And I think I'd asked her for money. I think that's what it was.
Okay. And did she respond? Do you recall?
Yes.
What did she respond?
I don't remember what she said. Exactly. I remember her last text that she said was just, I love you and I love the girls.
And you said you heard her voice earlier that day. And how did you hear her voice?
She was in the background of my conversation with my mom.
Right. And did your mom tell you where they were?
She said they're at Yellowstone Park.
Okay. Did you ever have a conversation with Lori Vallow after Charles's death about Tylee's Social Security money?
Yes.
What was the nature of that conversation?
So if I recall, she said that Tylee's money was not going to be everybody's money since she
Judge,
didn't
can I
have
have some foundation as to what time, date, place this discussion took place?
So foundation objection, Mr. Wood.
Your Honor, I'll ask a few more questions.
Thank you.
Do you recall approximately when that conversation took place?
I don't.
Okay. Was it in person?
I don't recall. I think it was on the phone, maybe.
Okay. But it was after Charles's death.
Yes.
And just to be clear, you don't recall the exact date?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. What was the nature of that conversation about Tylee's money?
Judge, again, foundation.
Overruled.
You can answer the question.
Yeah. The initial question I had is, how are you going to take care of Tylee and JJ now? And I knew that she wasn't going to be receiving the money. So she said, we're going to supplement some Tylee's money for now. and I'm going to go work. That was what she said. And that was basically the nature of it. She said, we're going to start using Tylee's money to make it through. And I think that I don't know if they were receiving anything for JJ, but that was the nature of the conversation.
Okay. So you don't recall if she mentioned JJ receiving Social Security?
I don't remember, but I know about it. I just don't remember if she said that.
Okay. And do you recall if she said anything about her receiving Social Security benefits after Charles died?
No.
Okay. The last time you saw Tylee, was that also the last time you saw JJ? And I think you said that was September or August 30th of 2019.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about November 27th, 2019. Were you contacted by the Gilbert police on November 27th of 2019?
Yes.
What was the purpose of that contact?
They came to our door looking for Tylee and I think JJ as well. I specifically remember them asking about Tylee first.
Yeah. And what did you tell them?
I said I didn't know where they were.
Do you recall if you told them about the last time you had seen them?
I think so. I think so.
At that time, had you been concerned about Tylee?
All right, we need to take a break, but you don't want to go anywhere because remember we've talked about the religious underpinnings and all of this. Well, Mother relies on Jesus and one of her responses to her own son. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My two best friends were just murdered.
An all-new Court TV special.
We have found 2 bodies, double homicide investigation.
The arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi.
Child murder!
Everyone's first reaction was, who?
No criminal history.
They got the wrong guy. Hiding in plain sight.
He's either the unluckiest guy in the world or he was there.
The Delphi Murders, the case against Richard Allen, premieres Sunday, 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
50.com.
Welcome back. Testimony continues in the murder and conspiracy trial for Chad Daybell. Before we get you back into court, let's bring back in our experts for the hours, criminal defense attorneys Jack Rice, Josh Schiffer. Gentlemen, you know, Josh, I kind of am going to throw you a little bit under the bus, but that's because the three of us are texting about everything happening inside that courtroom. And one of the things I'd love for you to explain to our viewers is the fact that this testimony may not be edge of your seat riveting, but it is so necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is not just a long arc case. It's a long arc case within longer arc stories because these cases are all interconnected. There may be other prosecutions. In fact, we've already seen one successful prosecution of a co-defendant. And you never know exactly how far some of these inquiries are going to reach. So when you get a chance to introduce this kind of testimony, you want to be thorough. This record is going to last forever. And by humanizing, introducing this testimony, it's an incredibly important component in the long-term viability of this case as it goes through what, if the state is successful, years and years of appeals. And that's why they're taking their time. And it's important. You also don't want to beat a jury over the head with everything like it's the most important thing. It's not. It's being realistic and authentic in how you introduce the characters that populate the drama you're presenting to a jury.
Yeah, being authentic is so important. Jack, how would you go about cross-examination of a Colby Ryan, who himself is a victim, who was really subject to the lies and manipulation, at least by Lori, his own mother? Do you cross-examine a witness like that?
Very, very carefully. Again, he is a victim, and that is objectively true. And so the jury does not want to see him victimized again. The only real question is, can you separate Chad from Lori? And is there anything he can do to do that? And it may not even be necessary, because in the end, what we can say is, yeah, she's bad. There's no question about it. That's not the question. The question is is Chad. And if he doesn't lift that issue up, then there's no benefit. And it only pulls it down if you go after somebody like that.
And it's going to be interesting to see then if he does do anything, he may not have to lift that up, because I'm not positive that this witness actually knows anything about Chad. I know that we are going to hear about what Lori told him about getting married again, but that could be the extent of it. So stand by. We want to go back into court now for more testimony from Colby Ryan.
Why is that?
Our conversations were not normal. The way her dialect in her text, the way she spoke wasn't matching up. And I had texted her for her birthday and just things of that nature. Just wasn't getting calls, wasn't getting any contact in a normal way, and was always avoided. So I thought maybe she was upset with me, but I just didn't want to pressure her because I know she'd been through a lot.
And so you mentioned text messages. Was there a change in those messages?
Yes.
How so?
Just little things like if you capitalize the letter I in periods and emojis, just things like that. Things just didn't sound right, and it just felt off when I was receiving those texts.
Do you recall the last time you spoke with her on the phone?
The last time I directly spoke with Tylee was on the 30th with JJ on FaceTime. So the same day that I saw them.
So you FaceTimed with them later that day?
Yes.
And then you never spoke with her again on the phone? But going back to those text messages, did you keep receiving text messages throughout September of 2019?
Yes.
And are those the messages that you felt were different?
Yes.
Okay. Did you respond to those messages?
Yes.
After the beginning of September, did you continue to receive money from Tylee's Venmo?
I think so.
Do you recall how often?
I think maybe a couple more times. So maybe 2 or 3.
And did you receive any more money from Lori Vallow?
Yes.
And how would she send that?
So she started sending money after I had not heard from her since that day. She started sending money on Cash App. I think she made a separate account and just tried to send money, and it kept denying it because it was a new account. I think it was all through Cash App at that point at just random times.
Okay. And was it in response to you asking for money, or was it just sent? Do you recall?
It was just sent.
Yeah. After Charles Vallow died, did you ever speak with your mom about her getting married again?
Yes.
And do you remember when that conversation was?
Maybe a few weeks after.
After he passed away?
After he was gone, yes.
What did she tell you about that?
It wasn't really a conversation. She just said a one-off thing like, I'll be married again soon. And I disregarded her and told her that I think that's crazy, or maybe she's talking about in the next life. It wasn't a real conversation. It was just a comment she made, and I completely dismissed what she said.
So she didn't give you any details about who she was marrying?
No.
When she was getting married?
No.
Other than soon?
Just soon, yeah.
Okay. Did your mom ever mention the name Chad Daybell to you?
I don't think so. No. I know she was becoming spiritual, if you want to call it that, for a long time, but she doesn't. I only knew Melanie. I didn't know anybody else that she was spending a ton of time with in a.
And when you say Melanie, which Melanie?
Melanie Gibb.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you contact your mother after November 27th when you were contacted by the Gilbert police?
I immediately contacted her after they left.
And what did you say to her?
I asked her what is going on. why are the cops asking me where Tylee and JJ are? And she said, I think she asked me, like, what did they ask? And I said, they asked for Tylee and JJ. And I said, what's going on? And she just proceeded to say, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about anything. And then she's like, that's it. Like, I got it.
At that point, did you know where your mother was?
No.
So she had never told you where she was?
No. We speculated based off of the Yellowstone thing, but I didn't have an idea where she actually was.
And you didn't know she was in Rexburg, Idaho?
No.
And she never told you that?
No.
Did you try to contact your mother on Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Did she respond to you?
No.
Up next, Michael Ayala joining me for more testimony in the Doomsday Prophet murder trial for Chad Daybell. Stay here, Court TV, your front row seat to justice. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ashley Wilcott.
And I'm Michael Ayala. We're both here today giving you your front row seat to justice. We are watching key testimony this afternoon in the trial for Chad Daybell.
The religious author and husband of convicted murderer Lori Vallow Daybell is accused of killing Lori's two youngest children, Tylee and JJ, and his first wife, Tammy.
Prosecutors say Daybell and Vallow believed that they had special powers and that it was their mission to prepare for the second coming of Christ by ridding the world of what they called zombies.
On the stand right now is Lori's oldest son, Colby Ryan. He's now on cross-examination by the defense, a fairly short, direct examination. Let's get you back in.
Did you ever have contact after that with your mother before she was arrested?
I think she sent an email not too long, maybe within a couple of weeks. And the nature of the email was, everything's fine. Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about me. I've got Jesus on my side, blah, blah, blah. But basically just saying, it's okay. I've got things handled.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wood. Cross-examination, Mr. Pryor.
Good afternoon. Can you tell me how old you are?
28.
You mentioned a number of times that you were receiving money from Tylee and Lori. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And 2018, 2019.
Yes.
Sound about right?
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Financially, is there a reason why they were sending you money?
We were just a young family and I just needed help and I was asking my mom for help.
You were a young family with children of your own?
Yes.
Okay, and just difficulty supporting yourself?
Yeah.
So your sister Tylee was helping out?
Sometimes, yeah.
And that was consistent with her character, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Very caring person.
Very.
Very kind person.
Yep.
She was, in many ways, more of a mother figure to JJ than Lori was. Would you agree with that?
I think she was his big sister.
Right. Very caring of JJ. Very, very protective of JJ. Would you agree with that?
She loved him. Yeah.
And she understood him better than almost anybody, correct?
Sure.
He had tremendous challenges as a young autistic, 7-year-old autistic child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of all your siblings, you would probably say that Tylee was probably the kindest, the gentlest, and the most understanding of JJ. Would that be fair?
Sure.
Yeah. Good. Now, You mentioned that Lori called you to let you know that Charles had died.
Yes.
She didn't tell you that Alex gunned her down in the house, right?
No.
She lied to you.
Yes.
Said it was a heart attack.
Yes.
So you're Lori's son, natural son, right?
Yes.
So Lori Vallow lied to her son the first time, saying that Charles died of a heart attack, correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of lying in a lot of places.
And Lori lied a lot to you, right?
Other people too.
Right.
Yeah.
But Lori lied a lot to you.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
And then you mentioned the name Melanie Gibb.
Mm-hmm.
Was Melanie Gibb in on this lying to you as well about covering things up?
I didn't speak to Melanie Gibb.
Okay. But Lori and Melanie were the best of friends, right?
You could say that.
Yeah. And Lori met Melanie because Melanie was teaching classes about religion and about various religious topics, and Lori gained an interest in that, and that's how that friendship started, correct?
I'm not exactly sure. She was at our Christmas party one time, and then she was there as her friend, so I didn't know what their exact connection was.
When was that Christmas party?
2018.
Okay. And the two of them were together, and it was abundantly clear that the two of them were very, very close friends, right?
Sure.
Okay. At the time that your mother notified you, you were at work, is that right?
Yes.
So did you get that message while you were actually working, or was it over a break, or how did that transpire?
So I was in the middle of my workday, and she called me, and then I went over there after work.
And where were you working at that time?
At Anytime Fitness.
Okay. And so you took a break. Do you need to take a break?
No, you're good.
Okay. You took a break, and your mother called you or texted you and said there was a heart attack.
Yes.
No mention of self-defense.
No.
No mention that Alex shot Charles in self-defense, right?
No.
She was clearly lying to her son, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the fight that occurred between Charles and Alex, Tylee was there, and she was implicated in that, correct?
Yes.
And she was present for that fight and that entire altercation, from what you understand, correct?
Objection. States facts not in evidence.
Overruled.
Correct?
From what I understand, yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that your father isn't Joseph Ryan, correct?
No.
But are you aware that your mother in 2018 received a sizable life insurance policy from Joseph Ryan?
I am now, yes.
You are now? Like right now?
I mean, I heard that later on, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're aware that financially, Lori Vallow had a significant amount of money as of middle or late of 2018, correct?
Yes.
Okay. During this time that there was discussion with Charles about financing, was it Charles Vallow who was the primary financer of the family's expenses?
Yes.
Your mother chose not to work.
She worked, I think, in the beginning, and then I think he just took over. I'm not sure. I was a child.
Okay, so when there was financial issues, it was your mother putting this all on Charles to provide for the family. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. And you already previously mentioned that you communicate with Tylee at least like once a month. Is that fair, or was it more frequently than that?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
You communicated with Tylee at least once a month. Was that fair?
Growing up, or?
Well, in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay, and the manner that you would communicate was by text message?
Primarily.
Okay. And how often would you communicate with JJ?
I mean, it really depends. Tylee and I would see them more often, so I didn't have much time for them not being around.
Okay.
So before that, it wasn't once a month. It was a lot more frequent. They lived in the same place, and I would go see them.
Okay. And when you communicated with Tylee, or excuse me, when you communicated with JJ, it was always Tylee there, right? Usually?
Yeah.
Not Lori?
She would be there too.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you saw Tylee on August 30th in Mesa, Arizona. That was the last time you saw them. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you had mentioned that Tylee was obviously upset.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any prior information that Tylee just did not want to go to Idaho?
No, because I didn't know she was going to Idaho.
Okay. So she was obviously upset about something.
Yeah.
And it was the day that they were packing up to leave to go to Idaho. Is that right?
Yes.
And prior to that time, there was no indication that Tylee was upset about anything else. Is that right?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay, that's fair. Do you remember that? And from August 30th, you then had a FaceTime call with both Tylee and JJ later that afternoon, later that evening.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about what time that was?
Probably when I got home, so anywhere between 7 to 8 p.m.
Okay, and you don't know where they were at that point, though, right?
They were back at the house.
In Gilbert?
Yes.
Okay. They hadn't left, but they were preparing to leave.
They were leaving in the morning, from what I understood.
Was Tylee still upset about the fact that she was leaving for Idaho?
Not on the phone call, no.
Okay. Now on the back in late November, you had then had an occasion to talk with your mother. Is that right? After the Gilbert police spoke with you?
Yes.
And again, your mother lied to you again.
Yes.
Was Melanie Gibb there?
Where?
On the phone? Any indication that Melanie Gibb was there listening in on the phone call?
No.
You don't know whether she was or not, or you just don't know?
I have no idea if she was there.
Okay. Now, your mother's a strong personality, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
She's not someone that people can tell her what to do. Would you agree with that?
Not necessarily.
Okay. So you think she could be influenced very easily, right?
That's a big gap between not influential and influential.
Okay, but you would agree that your mother is one to speak her opinion when she has an opinion about a subject, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Did you have an occasion to ever interact or observe the way your mother talks to her friends, let's say Melanie Gibb, how she interacts with someone like Melanie Gibb?
Yes.
And that sort of interaction between them, your mother was a wallflower, or did she tend to speak her opinion when she spoke with her good friend Melanie Gibb?
Can you define wildflower?
Wallflower, someone very passive, who wouldn't argue, someone who would just accept the way things are.
She did not like confrontation.
Okay.
She avoided it. So take that for what it is. I don't know.
Okay, so if getting in a discussion with Melanie Gibb, she would avoid confrontation. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay. Did she ever tell you in late November, after the police called you, that JJ and Tylee were with Melanie Gibb?
No.
Okay. Yeah, Judge, I think that's all I have. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pryor.
All right, Michael, at first I thought, why in the world is he going the way he's going with cross-examination? But then it became crystal clear to me that he is painting Lori as badly as he can. That's your own mother. She lied to you. She relied on life insurance money from Joseph Ryan. Everybody had to help her. She put on Charles to pay for the family so that it can push her away from his client.
Absolutely, and I agree with you when he got up to do the cross. Initially, I was thinking, well, why does he need to cross her?
Me too.
We barely heard Chad mentioned in the direct, but clearly he wants to continue to separate this little cabal of Alex, Melanie, and Lori from Chad.
Yeah, and I think
that's
that
what
was
he's
an
doing.
effective one just
I
then.
agree. I agree.
All right, stay tuned. We're going to have a redirect. So the remainder of Colby's testimony up next after a short break.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, money, sex, and power. The case against Chad Daybell. Court TV teams are live from Idaho with the very latest in the Doomsday Prophet murder trial. Plus, an 81-year-old man charged with killing an Uber driver after both were targeted in a scam. We'll show you newly released body cam video as our experts weigh in.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan tonight at 8, 7 Central, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. Michael Ayala here with Judge Ashley Wilcott, and we are in Idaho this afternoon for the Doomsday Prophet murder trial.
Defendant Chad Daybell faces the death penalty if he is found guilty of murdering his first wife and his new wife's 2 children.
Prosecutors, of course, say Daybell began having an affair with Lori Vallow, and soon their shared belief in the end of the world would propel them to murder those around them so they could be together.
And Vallow was found guilty of all 3 murders last year. She is serving a life sentence without parole.
All right, let's get you back in the court now for more testimony from Lori's oldest son, Colby Ryan, and he's on the stand on cross-examination.
Go ahead.
You were just asked about kind of your mother's personality.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she was a wallflower. And you said that you believed your mom had a strong personality.
I'm going to object. I don't recall that testimony.
Overruled.
But you said you thought your mom could be influenced.
Yes.
Earlier, you testified that your mom had become more religious over the years. And you were asked if she could be influenced.
Yes.
Do you believe your mother was influenced by Chad Daybell?
Objection, Judge.
Grounds.
It's speculation. There's no foundation to base what he's basing this on.
It's a question of belief. It's overruled.
100%. I think she could be influenced. Yes.
Okay, and my question was, do you believe she was influenced by Chad Daybell?
Judge, again, I'm going to object. Foundation, speculation.
Overruled.
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
All right. On that very last point, if you'd like, Mr. Pryor, recross. If not, we'll be concluded with the witness. And just limited to that last line of questioning you objected on, I'll allow recross.
Your Honor, I would just note, I think that question was directly in line with his cross.
Understood. I'll allow the recross.
Judge, am I permitted to go forward?
Yes, but only on that last question or two.
Now, in August of 2018, or August of 2019, you had never heard of Chad Daybell, is that right?
Correct.
And you testified previously that your mother said, and please let me get to the quote. And it was a few weeks after Charles passed away, and Charles passed away in July of 2019, right? You said, I will be married again soon, but she didn't specify who she was talking about, right?
Correct.
And at that point in July of 2019, you didn't know very much about Chad Daybell either, did you?
No.
Had never even heard the name, right?
No.
And then in August, almost September of 2019, correct?
Yeah.
You had never heard of Chad Daybell. You didn't even know where or why they were going to Idaho, did you?
No.
And then we fast forward to November, 2 months later, within 60 days, you have a conversation with your mother about where's JJ, correct? And at that point, you'd never heard or mentioned the name Chad Daybell. Is that right?
Correct.
And then subsequent to that, you mentioned the fact that your mother, there was a call and a communication where your mother had been locked up. And at that point, you had a confrontation call with her. And at that point, you never heard about Chad Daybell, correct?
No, in December of 2019, there was a release, and that's how we found out that she was married.
Okay.
And that the kids were missing, and that's how we found out.
Okay. So after December of 2019, after everything started processing, that's when you drew this conclusion that Chad Daybell must be influencing her. It wasn't anything up until December of 2019. Is that fair?
I mean, they ran away together. So.
Well, I understand that. But prior to December of 2019, to your knowledge, Chad Daybell wasn't even in the picture. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, I have nothing else, Judge. Thank you.
All right, so Judge, do you think he rehabilitated him there? I mean,
No.
It was those two questions asked by the prosecutor, I think vitiated all the good stuff that we talked about he accomplished on his cross.
I agree.
Right?
Yes,
So,
and there's no way that I think he could have been rehabilitated. The cat's out of the bag. Yes, I think Chad influenced her.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's bring in our guests. Still with us, criminal defense attorneys Jack Rice and Josh Schiffer. Jack, I'll start with you. What do you make of that last exchange? The questions by the prosecutor and then the attempt on recross. And I said rehabilitate, which is probably the wrong frame of reference because it wasn't his witness, but I thought he had established some pretty good points on cross.
Yeah, I think he did too. I'll tell you what, you could almost hear the blood pressure of the defense attorney. And because what we had before that was, who's Chad? Who's Chad? We never knew anything about Chad. And the prosecution was really smart in actually pulling this around and saying, what's this actually about? And what does he say? Colby says, it's about Chad. Chad's the one that influenced her. Chad's the one that made this happen. And all of a sudden, it made something that almost felt irrelevant relevant. And that's what makes it so incredibly powerful. So what you saw the defense do is they're starting brick by brick, trying to build that wall back and say, you don't even know this guy. And that's what they were trying to do. The question is once that cat's out of the bag, as Your Honor said, you know, sometimes it's hard to get that cat back in there.
Oh, so hard to get that cat back in the bag, Josh. I think it just destroyed any opportunity. And we kept thinking, how is this going to be tied to Chad? Well, darn it, if the state didn't do it on that redirect, that, yeah, mom could be influenced by Chad. And when you're a defense attorney and you're in court and these kinds of things happen, how do you overcome that? Can Chad overcome that?
It's hard because you've done such good work, you know, deviating from what the direct was all about. Now you're telling this story and people are kind of getting into your groove, but then the prosecution stood up and snap, snap, snap. All right, everybody, back attention over here, please. Let's not get distracted by this side quest. Everybody, let's get back to who Chad Daybell was and who's influencing who. And it just takes the air out of everything the defense had just done with what was otherwise a really good, meaningful cross with a witness that had something to add, to flesh out that story, to build that wall like Judge Ashley's talking about. And then you see how powerful it is when the state comes in and just yanks it down like that Jenga game. Man, the one brick's missing, boom, on the floor.
But on the other hand, the prosecution's doing a stellar job connecting Chad to the crimes, which is, of course, what he's accused of.
Yeah, and it ain't that difficult.
Yes,
you know, so, right? Because there's plenty to work with here at the end of the day. But Jack, I wanted to ask you, do you think the judge was right to allow the prosecutor to ask those questions of Colby? There were a couple of objections. I believe the judge said it was allowed in, it was his belief, but it did seem to call for speculation.
Yeah, I think it did. I think the judge was wrong here. And the reason the judge, I think, was wrong was the foundational piece. Because if you look at all of the evidence that had already been brought in previously, he basically said he never knew him. He never knew anything about him. There was nothing there. And you have to have a basis for your knowledge of some kind. And at least what I would have expected was the judge to basically say, give me more. Give me more on what you know about him before you can make an opinion as to who he is. We can all have all kinds of opinions about people in the world, but that doesn't mean we have a basis for it. And so I was a little surprised that he let it in, but you know what? It happened to me not long ago when I'm in trial. It happens to Josh all the time. He's a master, and there we go. It happens.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, though. I was surprised that was allowed in.
Yeah, and as you said, once the cat's out of the bag, you can't put it in. And it was such powerful testimony that, I was a little surprised. All right, gentlemen, stand by. We do have to take a break, folks.